Hey guys, it's the WalterFootball.com After Dark show from May 1st, 2024. Going to be talking about some NFL free agent signings. I'll give you my grades for those, and also going to do the first 2025 NFL mock draft that we're going to have here on the show. As you can tell, I am solo tonight. Jacob, unfortunately, is feeling under the weather, so let's hope he recovers quickly. But yeah, we'll get into it, and we're going to have Charlie on tomorrow. We're going to talk about draft rates tomorrow. We're going to have a special guest on Thursday, and then Tom will be back on Saturday. So full slate of shows tonight. I actually wasn't sure if I was going to come on tonight because my daughter has had trouble sleeping. She's been sick, but so far so good tonight. No, knock on wood, of course. But yeah, I mean, last night was a disaster. Like she was up like 3 or 4 times. Snot coming out of her nose. It's pretty crazy, but it looks like she's feeling better today. So fingers crossed. She hasn't woken up yet, so I thought it'd be okay to go live here. So if she wakes up, I'll have to probably sign off. But we'll get this going. Before we do, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit the link in the description for the merch store. All that mean a lot to us. If you really want to help support the show, there's super chats, super stickers. We've had so many great ones last week. We had Degenin on, Kevin Kovac, John Sanders, Slew. We had a $3 from Germ on Sunday. All that means so much. And I said this on Saturday's episode. The past 2 episodes where we didn't have any super chats or super stickers, we made YouTube ads are so bad that we made 78 cents and 51 cents in those episodes. So yeah, YouTube ads pay nothing. You'd be better served wandering the streets and picking up change. That's how bad it is. So anything you guys can contribute would mean a lot to us. Also, if you another way to support the show is to buy my book, which is Jerks of the College Years. You can find that on Amazon. It's basically like Jerks of the Week, where I wrote about people I met in college, and it was a long time ago, but I had these stories saved up, and I wanted to release this book for a long time. It just always got distracted, always had other projects. I met with literary agents a long time ago at the Philadelphia Writers Conference, and I went to that like 4 or 5 times, I think. And each time, like they showed mild interest. I'm like, okay, cool, and then it would just fizzle out, and I would always wait for like an agent. I'm like, wait a second, now I can just publish this myself. So it's actually my 3rd book. I have 2 other ones. So I think if you may click on this, it might take you to my other books. Yeah, it does. Safety and a Field Goal, and How the 2020 MVP Was Stolen. So three like radically different books. And I had kind of an idea for a 4th one. It's gonna be way different too. So we'll see if that gets done. But anyway, yeah, buying this would help as well. And if you guys have any comments or questions, just leave them. Doesn't have to be about football. Even I'll answer anything. As I always say, if I'm alone by myself on here, I'll answer anything just because I can't get canceled and I just don't care. Slew says a 5-star rating. Wonder who that was. Thanks, Slew. I assume it was you. But yeah, if you guys bought the book and liked it, please leave a rating as well. So that'd be appreciated. I thought we'd get into the signings first before the mock draft. I feel like that's quicker. Eagles signed Mekhi Becton, 1 year, $5.5 million. Now, Jets fans may laugh at this because Becton was so bad for them and so fat, and like he just was like 380 pounds at one point or something. And I called him a colossal bust, and then he was colossal for sure. But he's only 25. He has talent. I feel like if he goes to a team like the Eagles, who have coached up players before in the past, they could get something out of him. Now, maybe they don't. Like maybe he's going to keep being a bust, and he's going to keep getting injured, and he's still going to be fat. Like, yeah, that's definitely possible. But this is only a 1-year deal. There's not much risk attached to this. The only risk is that they can't carry over the $5.5 million for next year. But I don't know. I think it might be worth it. They didn't draft a tackle this past weekend, and I think they needed some depth. And Lane Johnson is 34. He might start to get injured. They might want a long-term backup plan. And like, what if they can coach up Becton and be like, okay, this guy's gonna be our right tackle of the future in a couple years? So I like this move. There's not much downside to it. Patriots as well. This one has more downside. The Patriots re-signed Christian Barmore, 4 years, 92 million. Barmore is a stud. Like, he's so good at getting to the quarterback. He's okay against the run, but like that's his specialties, pressuring the quarterback. And he's pretty young. He's not even 25 yet, so he has so much untapped potential. But there is a lot of risk to giving big defensive tackles a lot of money. We've seen it in the past so many times. These like 310-pound plus guys, they get these big contracts and then they gain a lot of weight and then they just can't lose the weight. It happens so often. Plus, Barmore's had an injury history, so he's not safe. Even if he doesn't like get fat and happy, like he could just get hurt again. So there is risk attached to this, but like if Barmore keeps playing like he did last year, or even better, like this is gonna seem maybe like a bargain even. So I don't know. I gave it a B, but I definitely don't hate the signing. I mean, it's retaining retaining a great player. I think he's a great player. It's never a bad thing. It's just like there is definite risk attached to this. Raiders signed Michael Gallup, 1 year, 3 million. I mean, Michael Gallup was he hasn't been anything since those injuries. Like he had a promising rookie year, and then he just hasn't done anything since then. But you know, he's 28. He still has some time. He could rebound. The Raiders needed another receiver because they lost Hunter Renfrow. So you know, getting a third receiver here it was okay. You know, I think that this move could have some upside, and there's definitely no risk. It's only 3 million, so yeah, a fine move for the Raiders. Probably won't amount to anything though. Cowboys re-signed Ezekiel Elliott. I saw this for 1 year. I didn't see the financials. I assume it's not for a lot. The Cowboys didn't draft a running back, and like the media was like, "Oh my God, Dallas didn't draft a running back." It's like, all right, calm down. There are alternatives in free agency. There's always running backs on the market. It's not hard to find a mediocre running back, and I don't even think Elliott's mediocre at this point. He's a good pass catcher still, but his running is pretty lackluster. But you know, having him as a backup's not the worst thing. He was a good backup for the Patriots last year. He just can't be a starter at this point. I think that Rico Dowdle is the starter for sure. Like I wouldn't draft Elliott over Dowdle in fantasy. In fact, I wouldn't even draft Elliott. Now, if Dowdle gets hurt, then you might want to pick up Elliott. But in the meantime, like I feel like he's just going to get like 8 touches a game or something like that, maybe 10. And then obviously if Dowdle gets hurt, then he will get more touches. But I feel like Dowdle gets hurt, they're probably going to trade for someone just because Elliott can't handle the workload at this stage of his career. You know, it's kind of crazy how far he's declined. Like when he was a rookie, he was like, man, this guy's going to be an all pro for so long. And he just fell off a cliff, his production like a few years ago. All right. Last one was Chiefs re-signed Travis Kelce, 2 years, 34.25 million. Now based on the way Kelce played in the playoffs, this looks like a cheap signing. I mean, it's only 17 million a year. But the way Kelce played in the regular season, like this is like a gargantuan overpay. Like he was so bad in the regular season. He looked washed up, and then like remarkably, he just turned it around. Like he looked like a completely different player in the playoffs. And I guess you could say he was distracted and everything like that, and understandably so with Taylor Swift. But like, who's to say he won't still be distracted? Like, is he going to work out super hard this offseason, coming off another Super Bowl win with this pop star girlfriend? Like, I'm sure he's like touring the country or world with her. Like, is he working out very hard? Like, I don't know. I think he might be distracted. Maybe he rounds himself into shape eventually and has another good playoff run. I could see that happening, but like, I would not draft Kelce in fantasy this year. I think that he might be doing for major decline, and I think there's a lot of risk here. But at the same time, you know, like trying to keep the core together for one more year, I think it makes sense. So I gave it a B. I could see this being a lot worse. Like I definitely would not go above a B though. All right, so let's get to my 2025 NFL mock draft. This was updated today, and I'm doing a round 2. I think it's gonna be posted tonight or to like Wednesday morning. Not sure exactly when, but there will be a round 2 added, and then we're gonna do some other draft features. Like I have a combo mock draft plan where I do this every year. It's like I take the 2024 mock draft and I put the 2023 players into it and just see like where would CJ Stroud go in this year's draft? Like where would Bryce Young go? Where will Will Anderson go? You know, I think it's an interesting exercise to do. It's just for fun. And then gonna grade all the team reporters and mock drafts, like see how well all the mock drafters did. Spoiler alert: Charlie was number one. He had 13 picks correct. And no one else had more than 11. I think Peter Schrager had 11. Charlie had 13. I know Jacob had 10. He had a great mock draft. And there was one other person with 10. I think it was Albert Breer. But it'll be on the site. Unfortunately, I had 7 because I got duped into that stupid Arizona trade. So I didn't have Harrison, which was free. So like I think 7 or 8. I think 7 was the median. There were some mock drafts like 3 or 4 correct. But yeah, Charlie had 13, and again, not a surprise that he was the best. So anyway, for my 2025 NFL mock draft, they're going to start with the Broncos having the number 1 pick. So this is the same situation as Arizona back in 2020 or 2019 when the Cardinals, they had Josh Rosen. They drafted him in the first round, and then Josh Rosen was so bad that the Cardinals had the number 1 pick. And I remember a lot of people thinking, oh, they're not going to draft a quarterback because they have Rosen. They're going to draft Nick Bosa. And I guess in hindsight, they should have, because Nick Bosa has been an amazing player. And Kyler Murray just keeps getting hurt. But the fact of the matter is, like, these teams need quarterbacks. And if the Broncos have the top pick, they're going to take the quarterback. They're going to take the local quarterback here, Shador Sanders. It's kind of a no-brainer. Like, they're going to trade Knicks. I doubt they're going to get as much as the Cardinals got for Josh Rosen. I think teams have learned their lesson. Like, if a quarterback looks like utterly awful in his rookie year, like, he's probably not worth trading for. So they'll get something for Knicks if he's bad, but not as much as Arizona got for Rosen. So I think if Denver has the top pick, like, there are going to be some people who are like, oh, are they going to trade this? No, they're going to take Shador Sanders or maybe someone else like Carson Beck, maybe have him going number 2 to the Giants. So the Giants didn't draft a quarterback this year. And I think it was the right move because their roster is so bad. I don't think they could have handled a mediocre quarterback. Like JJ McCarthy at 6 would have been a disaster. But getting Carson Beck a year later, when like the Giants are going to have more resources to spend, I think it's gonna be a much better move. And it's a much better quarterback prospect too. Speaking of quarterbacks, we go quarterback again here. Drew Aller to the Cardinals. Now I don't know. Some people don't like Drew Aller too much. I think he's really talented. I think he could have a great year and be here. Now he could drop off for sure. I'm less confident in him than I am with Sanders and Beck lasting atop this draft, but if he's here, I think Arizona would take him. Like, Arizona didn't have an interest in quarterbacks this year because they're kind of trapped in this Kyler Murray contract. But next year is going to be completely different. I think next year they're going to go after quarterbacks. So if they're drafting this high, I think Aller or someone else is definitely going to be in the conversation. Number 4, Will Campbell to the Patriots to tackle. This is all about giving Drake May some help. They gave him a receiver, Jalen Polk, in the second round. But their blocking is still going to be a major concern. So like getting a franchise left tackle, I think is going to be huge for them. And I'm sure Drake May would love that. And Matthias says Denver F grade. They have Bo Nix. Arizona had Josh Rosen, so that is my counter to that. And he says, however, Peyton is fired and the GM, so GM would want a new quarterback. I don't think it matters. Like, if they had the top pick, they're definitely taking a quarterback. We saw that with the Cardinals. We saw it with the Panthers. Remember, they had Jimmy Clausen, and they drafted Cam Newton. But I don't like Bo Nix at all. And if Bo Nix sucks, they're going to have a top pick. Like, if Bo Nix is good, then they're probably not going to be drafting number 1. Just think about it that way. Like, if they're drafting number 1, either Nix was awful or he got hurt. Now, if he got hurt and he barely played, that's different. They could maybe justify trading the pick. But if he played and was terrible, then they almost have to take Shador Sanders or Carson Beck. All right, so where are we? Number 5, Panthers getting another LC product, Harold Perkins. So this is a replacement for Brian Burns. The Panthers traded Burns, and they picked up some good talent. Like, they used the money to get like a couple of new guards. So their blocking is going to be better. They traded for Deontay Johnson. but they still don't have a great edge rush because they lost Burns and Hassan Reddick too a couple years ago too. So they need an elite edge rusher, so they get that here. Another quarterback here. So we have 4 quarterbacks in the top 6. Quinn Ewers going to the Titans. So Will Levis is going to get a chance this year, but if he's bad, the Titans are going to be drafting this high, and so they're going to be interested in quarterbacks. So I think Ewers might be the 3rd quarterback off the board eventually. I might move Aller down, and I might swap them in my next update. But yeah, I think these are definitely like C and D options compared to Sanders and Beck right now. But it's still way too early. Like this time last year, no one was talking about Jaden Daniels as a top 2 pick, and we saw what happened. I remember Joe Burrow just came out of nowhere to be the number 1 overall pick. Like a lot can change, but this is what we have right now. Minnesota going Travis Hunter. So Mathiasen, you can let me know what you think here. But the Vikings have had cornerback issues for a few years now, so this is their chance to kind of rectify that. And so, yeah, ever since Patrick Peterson left, they've had issues there, which I guess not too long ago, but they need to defend these quarterbacks or these passing offenses in the NFC North. Like Caleb Williams is there. Like suddenly the Bears are going to have a passing attack for the first time in like forever since Sid Luckman, I guess. Or I guess like Jay Cutler had a couple of good years. And then obviously no cookie Jordan Love was great at times last year. And then Jared Goff, you can't forget about him. So I feel like the Vikings have to strengthen their secondary. Seahawks going after a pass rusher, Michael Williams. The Seahawks have had a weak edge rush for a long time, it seems like. So they can finally get a good edge rush here. Tyson saying, "Oh hell no, I don't want Hunter. I don't want anyone from the Colorado program." Why is that? You have to let me know. All right, so number 9, we have Patrick Payton going to the Saints. So a couple years ago, the Saints wanted Miles Murphy, an edge rusher, and they didn't get him. And they didn't get a chance to draft an edge rusher this year. Like Latu just fell into their lap, but they have no tackles at the moment, or they didn't before they drafted Talise Fuaga at number 14. Because Trevor Penning was horrible at left tackle, and Ryan Ramczyk may not play ever again. So they had to draft a tackle, but now they get to go back to their plan and draft an edge rusher. At this time by this time next year, Cameron Jordan may not be on the roster. Like, what if he retires? So it's a good opportunity for the Saints to get an edge rusher. This is the Buccaneers at number 10, getting a cornerback, Benjamin Morrison. They had a bad pass defense last year. Their cornerbacks so terrible. Carlton Davis is gone. They traded him. Not that he was great or anything last year, but like it's another guy who's gone. So I feel like they need help at secondary. So this is a good pick for them. Another cornerback, Gentry Williams, going to the Redskins here. Emmanuel Forbes was so bad last year. Now maybe he rebounds. He is talent, but he was so horrible. If he's that bad again, the Redskins are going to be in the market for a cornerback. Number 12, Abdul Carter from Penn State, another Penn State edge rusher going to the Chargers. So at the moment, the Chargers don't need an edge rusher because they have Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. But both guys were like almost released this year just because the Chargers had no cap space. And it's hard to imagine both of them being back next year. I feel like this is still going to be an issue for them. So I think that they could. I feel like Bosa is going to be back, but Mack may not be. He's getting up there in age. So I think moving on from him makes sense. Number 13, Walter Nolan going to the Steelers. Cam Hayward has been such a great player for them for a long time, but he's getting, as Emmett once said, he's getting pretty long in the mouth. So the Steelers need to get younger in the defensive line. Number 14, Trey Zune to the Raiders. The Raiders wanted Paris Johnson 2 years ago. They didn't get him last year or this past draft. They could have taken a tackle, but Brock Bowers fell to them. So, they felt like he was just way too good to pass up. So they finally get their tackle here. They need a right tackle. Number 15, Will Johnson, cornerback going to the Colts. So the Colts could have easily taken a cornerback. And I imagine if Laisu Latu didn't drop to them, I think they may have gone with Quinion Williams or Terran Arnold. It's hard to say. I don't know that for sure, but there was a lot of speculation that they would take a corner as a big need for them, and those guys fell. But Latu was just way too good to pass up. So I think the Colts finally go cornerback here. And number 16, Mason Graham to the Cowboys. I guess they're no strangers to taking Michigan defensive tackles, but this is not like Mozzie Smith. Mason Graham can get after the quarterback, and we saw with the Cowboys, they have a great edge rush, but in the interior, it's not that great. All right, so we move on to 17 through 32. Patrick says, never forget when Jay Cutler randomly beat Tom Brady and the Patriots primetime when he was on the Dolphins. Yeah. A lot of weird results with Dolphins Patriots over the years, for sure. You can't ever forget that. Like Jay Cutler looked amazing sometimes, and then like other times he would just look so bad. Like he was just so indifferent, and that was like the meme of like Cutler smoking a cigarette on the sidelines, just not caring. It's a truly remarkable career with him because he had all the talent in the world, just like he just didn't seem to care. It's just funny. And I think he may, I don't know if like that's true. Like maybe he did care, but he just didn't look like it. Matthias says, I want winners, not people more concerned with their own brand than a Super Bowl. It's fair. Although, like, do you think like everyone on Colorado is like that? Like, I don't know. I mean, maybe some guys are, but I don't know. I think that you kind of have to judge the individual, you know? The boss says, I feel like Sanders have the same personality as Rattler, except Rattler has years of change, and I doubt Sanders will. It feels like teams will not want that. It's fair, although, like, you kind of know who his dad is, and, you know, Dion had that too. And, like, Dion, one of the greatest cornerbacks of all time. So I think teams will forgive Shedeur Sanders because of, you know, who his dad is, you know. And plus he's a quarterback. I mean, obviously Rattler is too, but I think like he's a better prospect than Rattler is anyway. So we'll see. You could be right. I think it'll be an interesting thing. Like if Sanders has a down 2025 or 2024, I think teams may sour on him. Matthias is saying, are you predicting a below 500 season for Tomlin? So this is based on my power rankings. So it's hard to predict that because it's never happened, obviously. But, you know, I feel like Russell Wilson just may capsize Tomlin's track record. Like Russell Wilson's so bad. I know they have Justin Fields too, but man, I just don't trust Russell Wilson. He was terrible in Denver. Didn't matter who the coach was. He was just awful. And like the team doesn't like him. So I feel like the Steelers may not rally around Russell Wilson. We'll see. Tyson says, not everyone. I also want to see him play only cornerback this year. Yeah, me too. So yeah. I again, like you don't want to judge the person with whom they're associated with, but like I think I don't know. I think each individual player is different. So all right, so number 17, Malachi Starks going to the Jaguars. The Jaguars made Jake Browning look like Joe Montana, so I feel like they need to strengthen the secondary. And they spent their first pick on Brian Thomas, which is, I don't know. They didn't really need a receiver. I know they lost Calvin Ridley, but I thought the receiving core is not great before Brian Thomas, but at the same time, like it wasn't. Their secondary was horrible last year, and I think they needed to fix that. They had Terry and Arnold fall right into their laps, and even after they traded it down, they could have gotten Arnold. So was disappointed with that. So maybe they'll go after the secondary finally. Browns getting TJ Sanders, defensive tackle. So the Browns had a great edge rush last year. Obviously, Myles Garrett, a couple other guys, but they didn't get much pressure from the interior. So this is their opportunity to do that. Rams getting Kelvin Banks, who can play tackle or guard. Really good pass protector, and I'm sure Sean McVay will want to protect Matthew Stafford as he continues to get older. Number 20, Ethan Burke going to the Falcons. So the Falcons finally get their edge rusher. And I assume that like this is going to be in response to them losing in the first round to like Jalen Hurts and the Eagles scoring like 48 points against them because they can't pressure the quarterback. Kind of have to wonder, I just really wanted to see the reaction of like, yeah, the Falcons are going to win their division because it's so bad, unless Cousins gets hurt or something. And so they're going to get to the playoffs. They're going to play a team with a great offense, and that team's going to score 30 plus points. I just want to see, like, I want the media to ask Arthur Blank, like, hey, what were you thinking? Do you still think that Michael Penix is a great pick, or or how do you feel about sabotaging your season this year? I want him to be asked that question, but I don't trust journalists to ask the correct questions because they seldom do. Number 21, the Bears getting their own edge rusher, Landon Jackson. So I mean they have Montez Sweat, but they don't have another good edge rusher. So I think they need to take care of that. They need to get a number 2 edge rusher across from Sweat. Yeah, okay. So yeah, okay. We got that comment already. Number 22, Tyleek Williams, defensive tackle to Miami. Dolphins lost Christian Wilkins, so they need a new defensive tackle here, and they almost got Byron Murphy to fall to them. I think it was like 4 picks away from that last year. So, and I thought Johnny Newton was going to be in play for them, but they can finally get the defensive tackle. 23, Sonny Styles going to the Jets. So I guess you could say like the Jets still need offense. They only drafted 1 receiver of note. I thought that they should have, it was Malachi Corley. I thought they should have spent more resources on that. But they also need a safety, like safety of their defense, which is great. Like the weak point of their defense is safety. So if a good safety falls to them, and there's some good safeties in this class, looks like, then I think the Jets would take him. 24, the Ravens going with Ernest Green, which is a tackle. So no real surprise there. The Ravens lost 3 offensive linemen in free agency, so they have to go after an offensive lineman. They spent their first round pick on a corner, which that was also a need. But I feel like with a weaker offensive line, I think Lamar Jackson is going to have a kind of an off year, kind of like he did in what was it, 2020, I think. Remember in 2019 he won MVP. He had an amazing offensive line. He had Ronnie Stanley when he was healthy. He had Marshall Yanda. Like those guys are so great blocking for him. And then Yanda retired and Stanley got hurt. And then Jackson, his play fell down. And so I think the same thing may happen this year coming off his MVP season. So they have to rebuild his offensive line. 25, Texans getting Denzel Burke, cornerback here. So they have to make sure the secondary is great because you have in the division, you have Trevor Lawrence. You're going to have Anthony Richardson and who knows Will Levis. But in this mock draft, the Titans are getting a quarterback. So suddenly you're going to have some really good passing offenses in that division. So you have to strengthen the secondary. Packers getting Danny Stutzman at 26, linebacker. So they lost Devondre Campbell, and I'm not sure if they really replace him. So this is their chance to do that. 27, Lions getting Antwain Wells Jr., a receiver. The Lions were interested in Keon Coleman. Now they traded up for Terry Arnold, who fell to them. But I think if they remained at 29, I actually think they would have drafted Jackson Powers Johnson. But if he was off the board too, I think Keon Coleman was in consideration for them as well. So Jameson Williams has been a bust so far, and if he has another bad year, then I think they're definitely going to be interested in another receiver. The Bills drafting Princely Uman-Millian from edge rusher from Florida. So the Bills they seem always to be interested in these edge rushers. They need as much quarterback pressure as possible because they're always chasing Patrick Mahomes. And in their division, they have Tua. Now they have Drake May. Of course, Aaron Rodgers there temporarily. So they need a good pass rusher. Number 29, Dalen Everett going to the Bengals. Seems like the Bengals wanted a cornerback in the second day. They wanted Max Melton in particular, but he went off the board before they could draft. And so they didn't really address cornerback until the 5th round. So this is their chance to do that. So I think they're going to struggle cornerback this year. Eric's saying FD 2025 draft odds. Sanders, Beck, Ewers all 5-1. James Pierce Jr. 9-1. Cam Ward 17-1. Drew Aller 20-1. Travis Hunter 20-1. Okay, so that's interesting. Yeah, I think I don't know. I guess like Sanders and Beck are worth a shot at 5-1. Just looking at that, I don't think I bet anyone else at the moment, but yeah, those two I think are interesting at 5-1. Okay, so I was like, what's FD? FD's FanDuel. Okay. I was like, what's that? I wish I wish I could bet on the draft on FanDuel. I have to go to New Jersey to do it. That's what I did this past draft. And there's one prop I wanted to bet more. It was the Michael Penix to the Atlanta prop I wanted to bet more, which I could on Bet US, but I was capped at $50. It's just so stupid that you can't bet the draft in Pennsylvania. Like why? Like who made that decision? Like, oh, you can bet sports, but not the draft. Like why? Who cares? Like, just let people bet what they want. I hate these stupid bureaucrats and the rules. Like, I don't know. But again, like I'm the most libertarian person you're ever going to talk to. I want to abolish the federal government. So like, yeah, of course I'm going to think like this, but I don't know. I really despise this like the government overreach and preventing people from doing stuff. So. All right, so we got 3 picks left. Eagles getting David Bailey, edge rusher from Stanford here. You can't go wrong mocking an edge rusher or defensive tackles to the Eagles. It feels like they're always going to consider these guys. Brandon Graham's not going to be around much longer, so it makes sense to get an edge rusher. 31 Niners taking Bear Alexander. So remarkably, the Niners didn't draft the defensive lineman in this past draft, which is it's crazy because they always draft defensive linemen. John Lynch must be like waking up in like cold sweats and be like, I didn't draft defensive lineman. I feel like he's going to overcompensate for that. He loves drafting pass rushers. And then 32 Chiefs, last but not least, are getting Kenneth Grant, another defensive tackle from Michigan. Chris Jones was just re-signed, but he's in his 30s. They might want to think about getting a successor here. So yeah, that is my 2025 NFL mock draft. The second round will be up, I guess in a matter of hours, like in like five or 6 hours, it'll be posted. So, check that out if you guys want. But yeah, I guess that's it. Thanks guys for commenting and watching. Just really appreciate it. Unless you guys have any questions before head out, just gonna sign off and I think I'm going to head to, unless my daughter has woken up, I'm going to head to Trenton to submit my Rainmakers lineups. Talk about like another stupid thing that you can't do in Pennsylvania. Slew 555. Thank you so much. I was wondering, are we not going to get a super chat today? And I was like, I wonder how little we're going to make on these on the YouTube ads, which I could tell you guys about in the next episode. But thank you so much, Slew. Thanks for saving us. Really appreciate it. Your support. It's always great. It means a lot to us. So thank you so much. And hey, Mike, thanks for checking in. But yeah, a short episode today, but we're gonna have Charlie on tomorrow. I think we're gonna go live a little bit earlier than usual, just because I don't want to have Charlie up in the middle of the night. He has a daughter as well, so I think we're gonna start around 9:30 tomorrow. Approximately 9:30, like give or take like a half hour. But yeah, we'll be live. We'll be talking about all the grades, and Charlie's going to go over his amazing mock draft and talk about how he's the best drafter in the world. So I'm looking forward to talking to Charlie. It's always great to have him on. But yeah, like I said, full schedule this week. Thursday, gonna have a special guest. We're gonna talk draft and video games and stuff like that, but we're gonna concentrate on the draft to start. And then Saturday, Tom will be on. Looking forward to talking to Tom because it's been a couple weeks. So yeah, once again, guys, thanks for watching and commenting. Just really appreciate it. Please like, subscribe, comment below, share this video, visit the link in the description for the merch store, and check out the book, Jerks of the College Years, on Amazon. But yeah, otherwise, have a good night, guys, and I will talk to you